Man, there are some weekends in sports, and this was a bye week for the Buccaneers, which meant I got to watch a lot of television, but what great television if you're a sports fan. We'll get to the World Series, which was just incredible. Incredible World Series. I'm a baseball fan. My life was baseball. My first love is baseball, and I'm telling you, I've watched a lot, and that's maybe one of the best World Series I've seen, just in terms of swings of emotion, the closeness of those games, and then that finish was almost second to none. But we'll get to that in just a second. We'll start with the Buccaneers, and they were off, of course, and we'll talk about the NFL. On Friday, I wrote a story, or actually got really had a kind of a text message exchange, because there's been some ambiguity about Jalen McMillan and his injury and the sort of the extent of it. And look, Todd is one that's very guarded to give information about medically about guys, and I mean part of that might be because he's just uncomfortable doing it. Right? He's not a doctor. Coaches are kind of this mindset of tell me when the guy's ready to play, and I'll let you, and then I'll let everybody know. So we've really not seen Jalen except a couple times to walk out, outside. He still had a neck collar on the last time we saw him. And when he was first injured, they called it a neck strain, and they said that, well, he will be sort of probably available after the bye week, like week 9 or so. And so here we are. We're certainly after the bye week, but I don't expect to see Jalen McMillan, and that's significant, and will continue to be until we get past Tuesday's trade deadline to see if the Bucs really do anything with the trade situation. I still maintain that receiver to me, and because of situations like McMillan might well be their number one need. But that said, Bowles did confirm that he has a fracture in his vertebrae in his neck. And then I found out some other information, and I passed this along as well, sort of in the story. We all saw him kind of in Pittsburgh land in an awkward position. There was a big sort of a flexion injury there where he was kind of bent up backwards, and um, in addition to the fracture, which is of all the things that happened to him, that's probably the most minor, believe it or not, because it's just a compression of the bone. It's stable, doesn't require surgery. Nothing that major in terms of the bone itself. But there are certain spinal ligaments, right, that were damaged in that injury or in that moment, and that's the reason why he's wearing the cervical collar, and that's what takes time to heal, right? So until we see him, obviously without the collar, walking around. Now, the other thing, which is unconfirmed, I cannot confirm it, but very often they'll put people who have that sort of injury sometimes on blood thinners, and if that's the case, he has to be off those for probably about a week or 10 days, or maybe even 2 weeks before he can have actual contact sports. So I'm not sure that ever occurred, that they ever did put him on those, but it's not unusual in that sort of injury. The bottom line is this: is that, and I think he tweeted out something about how this will be a great comeback for him if and when, I guess, he gets back on the field. The larger thing is that without him, without Chris Godwin, who we have not seen since he injured his fibula, a different injury than the first one, he only played 2 games, and he didn't really play that well. It wasn't really the Chris Godwin we remembered. I think he had, I don't know, 14 targets, and he's got like 6 catches for less than 50 yards, I believe. But if you remove those 2 from returning anytime soon, that leaves Emeka Ibuka. Mike Evans isn't going to be back till maybe, best case scenario, last week or 2 of the regular season, more likely the postseason. And that's a heck of a long way away. So, one more injury to, say, Emeka Ibuka, who also has been battling a hamstring, as we know. And, you're looking at having virtually no receivers. I mean, Sterling Shepard would be, I guess, your most experienced receiver. Um, and then then you're going to Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson and guys like that. Tez Johnson would probably be your number one, to be honest with you. And he's a rookie 7th rounder. Good player, made some nice plays, good catches, great backflip. Not ready to take on the role as your number one. So that leads me into Tuesday, where is there anything the Bucs can do to buttress their team? And I think that, and have thought for a while, that even though they had an embarrassment of riches at the receiver position, and some people thought Mbuka was a kind of a luxury pick, I really do believe that they would be wise to try to find some receiving help. Doesn't mean they can or that it's really out there per se. And some teams, have explored that. Guys like Jalen Waddle, there's a big debate about whether he would even be available. The Dolphins asking for a 1st-round pick was sort of what was reported. And I also don't think that Jason Licht is going to part with, high draft capital. It's just not what he's done. He's made one trade in all the years before the deadline. That was Steve McClendon when they lost, Vita Vea back in the Super Bowl year. And that's the only guy he's really traded for before the deadline. So I don't expect much, but if you did get it, it would be him. And I'm probably a little less optimistic about McMillan's chances after hearing what I heard. So I don't know who Baker's going to throw to. I think he's going to run out of targets. I mean, you could bring in, maybe try to find a tight end. Unfortunately, Mark Andrews, who he played with at Oklahoma, hadn't been doing much for the Ravens. Yeah, well, he caught 2 touchdown passes on Thursday night. So they're kind of drying up here, but that's what the bye week is for, is to see who can heal up. And then we'll see those guys, on Monday, or this morning, I guess we'd say, as you listen to this podcast. They're going to have sort of a walkthrough practice just to get them all, make sure they're all back in town, get an assessment of who's here. And then the first injury report, they'll be off on Tuesday as normal. The first practice will be Wednesday, and that's when we'll get the first injury report to see if any of those guys, including, the Hassan Reddicks and the Bucky Irvings and some of the other guys that have been missing time, even Luke Gedeke, will any of them be in a position to practice and or play on Sunday against the Patriots, who turns out to be a really good football team. I mean, the Patriots have one of the best records in the NFL right now.
They do. And I mean, it's not the Bills leading the AFC East, it's the Patriots.
How about that? Yeah.
Who would have thought that going into the season, as well as the Colts leading in the AFC South, and just lots of crazy things. But speaking of Bucs and what they did in the bye weeks, you see Baker Mayfield, Tristan Wirfs were at the Lightning game Thursday night.
I did, and I loved it, and I'll tell you why. One, it means they didn't go out of town, and I'm not too surprised. Of course, they could have gone out of town after the Lightning game, but both those guys are kind of nursing injuries, which generally, when you're on the bye week and you have some injuries, you go in for rehab treatment, that sort of thing. But two, they're just the men of the people. Like, they were engaging with fans. Like, it was cool just not only just to see them. And then Tristan said he bought his jersey on eBay a couple of years ago, which probably needed to, I guess, with his size. And then I guess he's being interviewed. It was that game, I believe, was that TBS? It was on
TNT.
TNT, that's right. And the lady and Tristan's like, "Oh, I skate." He was, "What?" He said, "Yeah, when I was 6 years old, man, I got skating lessons." And Baker was like, "Well, that's a frightening thing to think about." But yeah, so that was great seeing him. And they go to Lightning games quite often. I mean, I don't think it's unusual.
No, they're there. They're there frequently.
Yeah.
And then Todd Bowles was in Ann Arbor to see his son play.
Yeah,
against Purdue Saturday night.
He started at linebacker, I guess, right?
I believe he started. He was definitely getting a lot of reps. And
I saw him in on some tackles early on. So yeah, Todd was going to go up there and watch his sons play. I was exchanging some text messages with him, and that was his bye week activity. I think the coaches and everybody kind of worked until about Thursday or so, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they took the weekend off. So
as they should.
Those
guys work tons.
Oh yeah, it's brutal, and they got to go the rest of the way, whatever that leads them, whether that's postseason or beyond. There'll be no bye weeks. Now they do have a Thursday night game against Atlanta, so in that instance it'll be a short week followed by about 10 days between games. But this is really it. So but it was fun to sit home and just kind of watch football, and I always because I don't get to watch any games other than maybe Sunday night or Monday night. Sunday night, maybe the end of it if the Bucs play early enough. But tell you what, I felt like the Bucs had a good bye week in this sense, and not so much in the division, because we'll talk about the Fighting Canales in Carolina now, with 5 wins, which is, they're now solidly in second place. But if you're just looking at the NFC picture, and the Falcons lost again, they're now 3-5. Brutal loss for them, 24-23. They miss an extra point, which would have certainly tied the game. They've had kicking problems before. Of course, that's why the Bucs beat them actually, back earlier this season in the opener. But if you look at it and you go, okay, who could the Bucs have benefited from losing this week? And you would say, well, how about the Green Bay Packers? If you're looking at the NFC and you're looking at seeding, how about the Detroit Lions? And they went down as well. So for the Packers to lose, for the Lions to lose, the Falcons to lose, who else do we have? Of course, the Saints lost to the Rams. That's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it looks like the Seahawks are going to win. We're at halftime right now. Seahawks, football as we tape this, but they're crushing the Commanders.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that Seattle win might be one that they look back on and say, if Seattle doesn't win their division, right, in the NFC West, I think the Rams will, although there's only maybe a game separating those teams. But if Seattle were to make the playoffs, even at the end of the season, I think we may look at that Seattle game and say, you know what, that was the Bucs' best win. It was their best win because that team can absolutely score with anybody. And they were going up and down the field that day, as we remember, and it wasn't until one play, the ball was partially tipped, and Levante David makes a diving interception. Otherwise, they just needed a field goal. Bucs got the field goal instead and won. And you could have a situation where that leads to Seattle having to come all the way across country and play in Tampa in the postseason sometime.
Mm-hmm. No question about it. So, but it was crazy. I mean, the Colts losing to the Steelers, who had lost, a couple in a row?
Steelers had lost a couple. And you know what was funny about the Steelers game is, like, it wasn't fluky. Like, all of a sudden, this high-priced defense that they paid so much money for showed up.
Well, Cam Hayward challenged them publicly this week.
Yes. And they got their backs up a little bit, and TJ Watt and those guys, Heisman, they got after it. They got after it, and they played great defense. They created turnovers. That was the Steelers' defense we're more or less used to. And Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's still, give him time, still makes enough plays, gets you up and down the field. They ran the ball well enough, so it was a huge win for them, I thought, after a couple of losses.
Yep, and then Jacksonville hit a 68-yard field goal, Cam Little.
It's crazy, man. So they put up this graphic, right, of, it's the longest field goal in NFL history in the regular season. Cam Little had hit one from 70 in the preseason,
correct?
Right? But that's the longest kick period in the NFL, but it was preseason. So now Little holds the record, the NFL record, which began this year. I think it was Tom Dempsey at 63 yards, and then I think there's been a
couple 66. I think it's
65, 66 yarders, maybe Aubrey in Dallas or something like that. But hell, I mean, the ball is just it's flying, and you cannot convince me, because what they did with these K balls is allow the kickers to have the balls to sort of groom them to their preference, right? And because of that, I think guys like Chase McLaughlin and others, I mean, they're kicking these things routinely now of 65, 66, even 70 yards. That's unheard of. And it reminds me so much of the stories, the arguments I used to get in with my dad back, when the steroid era was going on in baseball, and he'd played and coached his whole life. And we'd be sitting there watching games, and I would get in arguments with him. He'd be like, "There's no way." I go, "What do you mean there's no way?" He says, "There's no way that guy, the second baseman, whoever it was at the time, or the outfielder, whoever it was at the time, can hit that ball and hit that many home runs. And something's wrong. Something's wrong." I go, "Well, you're old school, Dad. I mean, like, you guys used to go to spring training to get in shape. I mean, these guys, they lift all the time. They wouldn't let you guys lift weights. They got nutritionists. They got, physical therapists. They got all this stuff going on, and they're just bigger. They're stronger. Nope. Don't believe it. Nope.
They're actually wearing shoes,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not leaving their glove on the infield for the other guy to pick up when he runs out there.
Well, I just meant the barefoot kickers. I mean, back in the day.
Oh yeah, back in the day, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You did have some guys. So I would get in this argument with him. He'd go, "Nope," and you know what? Turned out he was right, man. Those guys were juiced. It was a steroid era, and he knew something was wrong. I'm looking at this, and I'm not a kicker, but I've covered football a long time. Steve, I'm here to tell you, it's the ball is there's something with these footballs that these guys have adapted or done something.
There is, but it seems like they control them less because you're seeing more missed extra points and more like it sure seems like the percentages are down slightly.
I don't know if that's a great. It's a great.
It
point
feels like it. I guess I don't know, but it feels.
I don't know either. I saw a lot of missed kicks. When you watch the the red zone, and you get to see every kick, you realize how many are missed. So there have been some misses for sure. But then again, the extra points are 33 yards, and I don't know what that factors into it or not. But I'm telling
that's
you,
a chip shot. So I mean,
but
sure seems like there's more missed than should be from that, and you get to pick which spot on the field you want to do it too. It's not like
it's true.
Okay, I was on the left hash or the right hash. I prefer the other. Like you get to
no,
pick.
That's true. But it's flying. I mean, the distance is the thing. The distance and the accuracy from that distance is the thing. I mean, I remember Todd Bowles taking a delay of game penalty when, Chase was somewhere in that 36 to 38 yard range. He took a delay of game penalty, which you would never think of doing, right? Trying to draw a team off sides. I was like, well, you just backed your kicker up 5 yards. He goes, he's actually better from this distance than he was 5 yards closer. And he was right. I mean, McLaughlin's 8 of 8 from 50 plus this year. 8 of 8. I mean, I don't know, man. When I started, and it was 100 years ago, but if you could make 75% of your kicks, if you could get to 80%, you were considered one of the best in the league. I mean, one of the best. And, guys might have got mid 50s, upper 50s. Like I said, forever and ever. Tom Dempsey, who had a half a foot in a steel shoe, had the record at 63 yards, and that held forever. But now this year, to have I think they put up a graphic, and maybe 3 or 4 of the longest kicks in NFL history have occurred this year. So it's not a coincidence. Something's going on.
Yep.
But yeah, that was quite a field goal, and
the crazy game between Chicago and Cincinnati.
Oh my God! If you're a Bengals fan, man, first of all, unbelievable comeback, right? That game they were done, right? What were they down? 14?
They're down 2 score. I think they're down 13. I think it was
13. That's right.
13, and with 4.5 minutes to go, and they throw a pick.
Right.
The game's over.
Yeah,
game over. Nope. They get the ball back with 2:15 or 2:20. Score.
Get the onside kick, which no one gets. It hits the guy in the back of the leg.
Score again. Mm-hmm. And now they have the lead with 47 seconds or 57 seconds.
And it's 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
And Williams scrambles for a first down, and then he throws a pass to his rookie tight end, I think it was.
Yeah, Colston Loveland.
3 guys around him. All 3 bounce off of him. He runs it in for a touchdown. Unbelievable, man. Just, gut-wrenching for Bengals fans.
So Cincinnati, I think I saw the first team ever to score 38 points or more in 2 straight weeks and lose both games.
I don't know how to.
First since the 60s. I'm sorry, first since the 60s.
I mean, is the personnel that bad, or I can remember.
Well, I don't. They ran the defensive coordinator out of town last year because he sucked. Well, it's Lou Anarumo who's got the Colts number 1 seed in the AFC. So
they did run Lou out. So who's their guy now?
Yeah.
Anybody any good?
Golden, the guy from Notre Dame's defensive coordinator, Al Golden.
Al Golden, who used to coach at Miami?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. So if I'm Al Golden, because this happened one time, I remember 100 years ago, I was covering a Sunday night game, and the Bucs were up 27-3 or something like that over Jim Everett and the Rams, and they lost. And they gave up all the points in the fourth quarter. And I'm out back, and Floyd Peters used to come out there, and he was, if you guys remember Floyd Peters, he looked like Mr. Clean, had the bald head, and former, Marine or whatever, and a tough guy, worked for the Vikings, and just a real character of the game. So he's out there on the back porch smoking a cigarette and his hands shaking. And he walked by and was like, "Hey, how you doing, Floyd?" And he hated to say anything, but he was right there. He's like, I tell you, that game last night, that'll get defensive coordinators fired right there. And he wasn't fired, probably should have been, but that's exactly what should happen to Al Golden today. You know, it's just
it's the Bengals. It won't. They won't.
I know it won't, but it should. Like, you got to have some accountability. Like, how do you allow them to go up and down the field like that if your offense has overcome so much to get back in the game and have the lead? I mean, they had the lead. They're going to win that game. But those offensive numbers in that game for both teams was insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that was fun watching football for a change and just kind of not really having to write and do things like that. The Bills took care of the Chiefs. You know, both those teams.
They always do in the regular season.
I know, that's the problem. Both those teams, though, unlike most of the times when they meet, neither one is in leading their division.
Nope.
You know, so that's different.
Yes, it
is.
To
see them play. And then the Raiders-Jaguars was a crazy game as well. That came down to the Raiders driving down in overtime and deciding to go for two, which I would have too.
Yep.
Pass got knocked down. I think he had a guy open the end zone. And Liam Cohen's team breaks their 2 or 3 game losing streak. And they go to 5-3. So that was a good win for them.
But we said we'd get back to Carolina.
Yes.
I mean, everyone going into the season thought it was Atlanta and Tampa Bay to
no question
and Carolina to be improved.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Atlanta's now 3-5
mm-hmm.
and struggling. The Bucs are on top, but the Panthers are only game and a half back at 5-4
with some good wins too. You know, and this one was obviously their best one, I thought, even though it was a low scoring affair. 16-13 is the final, and of course Bryce Young returned to the lineup. Look, you look at the numbers and you go, okay, Bryce Young, 11 of 20 for 102 yards. You know, but Dowdle, the running back that they got, ran it 130 yards, 5.2 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, 25 carries. That's what they did. They just pounded the rock, man. And, you know, defensively, they held up. I mean, they held up against what had been a really hot Packers game. And I'm just here to tell you, I've been to Green Bay a million times, man. And it never seemed to matter how good the Packers were or how good the Bucs were. That's arguably the hardest place to win a game. I mean, the fan base there is crazy. They just seem to have such a home field advantage, especially later in the year. But for Canales to go up there with that team and win the way they did and be physical and make plays on defense, their defense was really, really good. But Jordan Love, you know, he had been a hot quarterback and he didn't throw any touchdown pass. He had 273 yards and an interception. And Jacobs ran it pretty well. I mean, he averaged 5.1 a carry, but he had 87 yards. But man, it was a big win. And you're right. Like I said, if Carolina can continue to win, and I don't know that they can, but if they did, the Bucs' next 3 games is going to be their hardest for the rest of the season. And after that, they go return to division play. They got 2 with Carolina. So Carolina's in a great position if they were to win out to do something in this division. Of course, they got 1 more here at Atlanta, and then they got 1 more here against New Orleans. And you know, the Saints are probably the worst team in football right now. But these next 3 weeks, okay, home against the Patriots, who just had a hell of a win against Atlanta. On the road at Buffalo, who we saw take apart Kansas City, and then on the road again to Los Angeles, where I think the Rams, just my hunch, I think the Rams, maybe like one of those teams might be the best team in the NFC, in my opinion. I don't know about, you know, the Eagles had a bye week and they're very, very good, obviously. But watch out for the Rams. Watch out for Seattle, who, you know, went up and down the field against Washington. Those are high scoring teams. I think you need to score. Like, I think when you get to the postseason, you got to be explosive, you know? And I think those teams are, and they both have pretty good defenses too, especially LA. LA's defense is elite. So it's going to be a tough reload for the Bucs. I just don't know that they have enough healthy bodies. You know, they were able to go to New Orleans and get a W, and the defense led the charge. And I don't think you can count on the defense getting 4 turnovers a game. and a pick six and all this sort of thing. Now you may get Reddick back, although Anthony Nelson played his butt off. But you're still, if you don't make any trades for an inside linebacker or for a wide receiver or a tight end, somebody that can help you on offense, I'm just not sure that this current group, is going to have enough. Even though you might get Gedeke back, I would think you'll get Godwin at some point because they didn't put him on IR. I would think Bucky will try to play at some point in the next couple of weeks because he wasn't put on IR. But what version are you getting from those guys? Like, who are they, and how much will they help Baker, and can they protect him and all of that? So, but the one thing that will help them is they'll be healed up, they'll be rested. This week off was so needed, and it was one of the later bye weeks in the NFL. Whenever it comes, you feel like you need it, but I think they'll benefit from it. I want to talk about my first love, baseball, and what a great World Series it was in just a minute. But first, get on down to Breitling Boutique, folks. You know where International Plaza Mall is, best and biggest mall in Tampa Bay, not far from over there at the Tampa International Airport, kind of wedged between that and Raymond James. Well, when you get to International Plaza, go to the second floor, center of the mall. That's where you're going to find the Breitling Boutique. Now, the Breitling Company has been making the best Swiss watches now for over 140 years. They've been at International Plaza. The boutique has for about 5+ going on 6 years. And you got to go in there and enjoy the customer service. Find out about the men's watches, the chronomats that they're known for, the Navitimers. They have women's watches. These are sports watches. They're durable. If your wife or girlfriend is on the go like mine, they're going to hold up very well. And she has a whole array of colored wristbands to choose from. And while supplies last, they've been celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with 32 different team watches. Now, these are only while supplies last. If you go by, you're likely to see one or two on display in the window, including the Buccaneers team watch. These are the Chronomat watches for men. They have the team colors on the face of the watch, the logos. They are collector's items. They are beautiful. You're going to want one, trust me, and it's going to fit your budget. It is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. Please let them know that when you go in there, you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Well, it was good to see Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow finally win a ring.
It was, and they both had a big part in Game 7.
They did.
I mean, the Dodgers hate their bullpen so bad they didn't pitch a reliever in the game. They had 4 pitchers pitch, all starters.
That's how much they distrusted their bullpen.
Yes.
Although had it gone another way, Snell might have had the indignity of losing 3 World Series games.
Yes.
Which, probably wouldn't have gone well in his resume.
But as it stands, Yamamoto wins 3. All 3 on the road. First pitcher ever to do that in a World Series.
He was in. First of all, for a guy to go out there and throw like 95 pitches the day before, right? Yeah. The day before. And then to come in those high leverage situations and pitch 2 innings, like insane.
He pitched 3
innings. 3 innings, yeah. Insane.
Or, 2 plus, because he came in the 1. So, yeah.
Yeah, 2 1/3, 2 2/3, something like that. But insane that he was able to do that and be effective. Like, to ramp it back up after you've gone an entire start like he did and was virtually unhittable. But the chances that both teams had, I mean, it was high drama.
Well, how about defense. Dave Roberts playing his gut with Miguel Rojas?
Oh, yeah.
Who ends up hitting the home run to send it to extra innings, save your season.
He did. Yeah. Probably his first home run in about 3 months.
Yeah. And then how about Isaiah Kiner-Falefa? How about get a secondary lead?
Right?
Like how about get more than 1 step off the base when the ball's hit?
Right.
Or don't slide at home.
Or don't slide. Run through the bag.
Either one, Blue Jays are champs.
I think you're right. It was bang, bang, and he didn't, he went down and slid, and they were so close to winning and so close to losing all at the same time. How about the catch in center field to preserve the game? I mean, like there were so many moments in that game that really both teams, especially the Blue Jays, had a chance to win. I don't know. I had this stat in front of me. I've lost it now. I want to say that Toronto may have scored, 15, 20 more runs in this series than the Dodgers did.
It wasn't that much, but they definitely scored a lot more. I mean,
they lost. Yeah. But in the big moments, man, LA was king. And They just
both games 6 and 7 on the road ended with a double play.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, who got picked off second? Got too far off on the play on Game 6.
Yeah, in Game 6, yeah. No, it was high drama, and it was what baseball's about. I mean, you go back; they had the 18-inning game, right?
Oh yeah, this was an incredible series.
The whole series.
I'm trying to remember a more, as you said, earlier, like the ebbs and flows, the emotions of the series.
Oh God!
Like I'm trying to remember one that felt that way.
No, I can't. And the level of play was so high. That was the thing. It wasn't like there were mistakes made. There were just great plays made. And clutch hitting and unbelievable pitching, where either team you felt at any point could take control of the series. I mean, they finished the last two games in Toronto, and Toronto could have won Game 6, just as easily, and they didn't. And then Game 7, they seemed to have control of, obviously, until the very end, and it was And you know who I felt really good for? I don't know if you saw the moment, like Clayton Kershaw. This was his last game.
Yep.
With just had a Hall of Fame career, unbelievable career, and they saw him down there with his kids. He's got like 4 kids, including a small one, like a little baby, basically. But to see the emotion, he was going to come in the game, by the way. He might have been the next guy in, but that was cool to see. Yep. I don't know. There's
feel bad for Don Mattingly, who's never won a World Series.
Yeah. Feel bad for Guerrero too. He had already said that, when he started his career, he wanted to win a World Series and give the ring to his dad. He was in tears, and he did his part. I mean, he had a leadoff double.
Yeah.
That one inning, they bunted him to third, I think. But you had the bases loaded with 1 out twice, once or twice, and couldn't get it done. And of course, grounding into the double play to end it. Really, 2 nights in a row. Just devastating for Toronto. Devastating. And yet, a part of me, I will say, not unaware of this, that the Los Angeles Dodgers are the first team to go back-to-back, I think, like in 20-something years, right?
Since the Yankees in 98 to 2000.
Yeah, insane.
First National League team since the Big Red Machine, 75, 76.
75, yeah. I mean, geez. It's so hard to do, right? It's impossible to do. And yet, if you added up all the penalties and things that they absorb for, taxation and stuff like that, they spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million.
Yeah, their payroll was $416, I think. So then you add the luxury tax in that.
Luxury tax are close to $500 million. Not to be, on Skid Row themselves. The Toronto Blue Jays were 5th in Major League Baseball, and they spent damn near $300 million. So neither one of these are teams that don't have high revenue payrolls by any means, but I just feel, and the performances were incredible. And these teams, like I said, it absolutely could have gone either way. But I think baseball has a problem. They have a problem with what's going to become.
Well, it's going to come to a head next December.
Yeah, it will.
Most likely there'll be a lockout.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether they can get it solved by the time the 2027 season starts, we'll see. But owners want some big changes to the structure financially, and the players at this point, or at least the union, is resisting it.
They're not going to get a salary cap per se, I don't believe. And I don't know that the luxury tax system has really.
Well, without a salary cap, you don't get a salary floor either. That's the whole thing. And you want teams to spend more. Like, that's at some point.
They'd like for the Tampa Bay Rays to spend more.
Well, the players want these teams to spend more, but you got to give something to get something, basically. And that's what's going to be interesting. What happens?
Yeah,
I'm not sure the union leadership is in lockstep with the players. We'll see. And and the union's got some issues, and now there's a charity outlet that there's some problems with that they're investigating now with the players union. And I mean, all these unions are having some issues. The NFL's, the Major League Baseball's now. It's look, it's going to come to a head. There's going to be a lockout next December. Most likely, spring training is going to start late.
Yeah, I think they're looking at an abbreviated season, even if
some speculate there may not be a 27 season, but I think it's too early to say that at this point.
Perhaps not. I mean, perhaps not. If there's a big enough issue.
Yeah. I think it's a possibility, but I think it's way too early to say there's not going to be one. Like, it's a long way to next December, let alone, June of 2027.
Yeah.
Long way to there. So,
I mean, I'm not naive to the fact that, and then I was listening to an interview by Bryce Harper who said, well, yeah, it's true they spend all this money. And Harper won a World Series with the Nationals, but he's like, he goes, the other thing is, he goes, like, look where they are. Like, it's LA, it's a storied franchise. He started listing the reasons why you'd want to play for I'm not saying no one wants to play for the Dodgers. It's just that they can't have everybody.
yeah.
International, the best international talent, the best domestic talent, plucking guys, it's a veritable all-star team for the most part.
Except their bullpen. They can't figure out that.
They don't have a bullpen, which is the weirdest thing. But it didn't matter because their starters just logged extra innings.
Yeah.
Hey, Game 7, it's Johnny Holstaff, and they all just took their turns going out there. And Shohei Ohtani started the game, probably pushed him an inning too far.
Yeah, gave up the 3-run bomb to Bichette, who's going to be who's a free agent.
Who's a free agent, and he's going to make a lot of money. And although he cost them a run because he couldn't run. He was injured.
And that's why Kiner Falefa was
right
at third and didn't get the secondary lead and couldn't get home on the force out.
But Bichette would have scored early from second. He couldn't score, and had to stop at third and ended up not scoring. But yeah, it was dramatic, and I didn't stay up for the 18-inning game. I went to bed probably about the 10th in that one. But that was dramatic as well. But man, what a close series! And yet, when you look at the runs scored and all that differential, it's like really Toronto kind of dominated it overall. They didn't make the big plays at the big moments or get the big hit when they really needed it, and that's baseball. As my good friend Ronnie Lane
this one stings for the Toronto. This stings.
Oh yeah. What's it been like? In the 90s was the last time they won a World Series?
93.
Yeah,
they went back to back 92, 93.
That's right. They did. Them and Cincinnati were the last two teams to do it.
Well, no. The Yankees were the last one.
Oh, the Yankees. I'm sorry. The Yankees. That's right.
Yeah, Toronto did it 92, 93.
Right. Okay. But what I was thinking is that one of the solutions, and John Romano proposed this, is that maybe it's not a salary cap. Maybe you reimagine the divisions and you don't put the Tampa Bay Rays in with the American League East. Maybe they go in with the Central.
That's possible
where
too.
There's teams like Cleveland and Detroit and Minnesota that aren't big spending, high market value teams. And then that levels the playing field, right?
Yeah.
At least as far as the regular season goes and getting in the postseason.
Yeah, there's been talk of that for years of, reimagining it more based on salaries or
more equitable
market revenue size.
Market size, revenue size, all that stuff. So that might be a solution. But when you get in the postseason, you still got to play them. So
now, here's the thing, and for the purists, if you do that, you're getting rid of American and National League. There's no more leagues anymore.
But I'm fine with that.
I'm just saying there's some purists that absolutely do not want to get rid of National League and American League.
And there were purists that didn't like a pitch clock and probably didn't like the bases to be wider and probably didn't like. But what I like about baseball so far, they could definitely push it too far. But what I like about baseball so far is they recognize that their game needed work. They recognized that they were losing viewership and it was too slow and the shifts were a problem and the pitch clock needed to be enacted. They've done things to make their game better, and I think they have made it better.
Yep.
They're not afraid to try stuff, and I can't say that about every league.
By the way, one last stat, I think, if I recall this correctly, I hope I did. It just dawned on me about you're talking about how the Blue Jays scored more runs. You know what the Dodgers' batting average was in the World Series?
I don't think it was good.
202.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think they didn't score many runs. No. I mean, they didn't score many runs. They scored the key runs, but in the games they played overall, they were outslugged. Yeah.
Now, granted, Ohtani, how many times was he intentionally walked, which took
True.
away some at-bats, but,
Yeah, but that's strategy. That's part of it.
Absolutely. But
in terms of just like going out there and bashing, it's not what the Dodgers did. Yep. Freddie Freeman now has a couple of rings. I mean, it's an all-star team.
He's got 3. Got one
He's
in
got
Atlanta
3 now.
and then
That's
2
right.
in LA.
Yeah. He's got 3. Magic Johnson was talking about him after the game. It was hard for him to make the
Magic's
adjustment.
tweets were very insightful during this World Series, by the way.
Did you think so?
Yeah, I think it was game 5. He's like, this is a key game in the series. Oh, thank you. It's tied 2-2. Thanks.
Thank you, math man. Yeah. Is that what they taught you in the NBA? He's got his hands.
Exactly,
he's got his hands in a lot of things, man. He's got the Dodgers and the Commanders, right?
Yeah, but his tweets were Mr. Obvious.
No, I know. Well, he's just trying to stay relevant. At least he knows how to tweet. That's a good thing. Yeah. So long. I mean, think about baseball. It ended November 2nd, and I believe the Dodgers went to Japan to start the season.
They're also. This was the first season that the baseball season started and ended outside of the United States.
How about that?
Because it started in Japan and ended in Canada.
Ended in Toronto, yeah. And it started probably end of March, last few days of March.
Yeah, it was like March 23rd, 20th. Because they went to Japan early, then came back and played more preseason games. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, it says you can't do that. Can you imagine the Bucs like, we're going to open in Atlanta, then we're going to come home and play a preseason game against Pittsburgh? What? Yeah, only baseball. But that was a grind. Not quite what I still say the Stanley Cup is the hardest championship to win and the longest grind. But that's a long time, man, to go that many months of playing every day, every other day, and get into November, geez. I mean, it's insane.
Well, speaking of the Stanley Cup, can we now, stop saying the Lightning or Stanley Cup window's over?
Well, no, I think they're the favorites now because they've won five in a row. They're humming, man. What's been the big? What if you could just and keep it to within like 1 or 2 things you think that have clicked over these last 5 games? What would that be?
They're playing better defense.
Okay, simple enough. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're being more responsible in their game.
Yeah. Yep.
The first 7 games of the season, they were not.
Right. That's what I thought you'd say.
5 in a row now. They're actually, if the playoffs started today, way too early, of course, but they went from last place in the Eastern Conference a week and a half ago to in a playoff spot now, 3rd in the division.
That's it. And they're not too panicked like we were, or maybe I was. I went to the game 2, which is probably their worst game of the season, but they're starting to figure it out. And their goal will be to be playing well when the playoffs come. It's such a long season, hockey is.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely turning around and got and they're new guys, they're younger guys, they're new guys. They're all showing up. They're all making impacts. So I have to I was watching it with my daughter the other night, and she's like, "Dad, who's this guy? Who's that guy?" It's like, "Oh, got some new faces to go with the old ones, man."
No, it's been really good, and to be honest, Anthony Cirelli's leading your team in goals. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I mean, their big goal scorers really hadn't gotten started yet.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Gensel's doing well.
Yeah,
but Cooch is not off to the start you would expect him to be off to.
Point.
He's not bad at all.
Right.
But you know what? What's really been impressive has been the line of Gord, Gergensons, and Holmberg.
Yeah.
They are just they are so tough on the puck.
Mm-hmm.
They're relentless on the forecheck. They've scored a few goals. By the way, Lilleberg's pass to Gord on Sunday.
Oh, tic-tac-toe.
The give and go, Gord to Lilleberg
was
back.
So beautiful. Oh. So beautiful.
The Mammoth had no clue where the puck was, and it was already in the net.
Almost always you're going to get a shot before that last pass, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and they were expecting, and you don't expect Lilleberg to make a pass like that either.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. That was beautiful.
It was so pretty.
Clinic.
But the Gord, Gergensons, Holmberg line has been so. It's not the same, and it's easy to say. They've been looking for a quote third line since Gord, Gaudreau, Coleman.
Right.
This is the first time you've seen a line feel like that, forecheck wise and defensively.
Yeah.
and it's been so fun to watch. Gergenson's has only been back 5 games, and they've won all 5.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Big reason why.
Yeah, and John Cooper even talked about how his return was probably the most impactful thing of this season so far. Just, he's not going to score a ton of goals, but his presence on the ice, the locker room, etc., and that line of Gord, Holmberg, and Gergensons has been spectacular. But they got 2 more games left on this road trip at Colorado tomorrow night and then at Vegas Thursday night.
Yeah, it's the westward swing here and off to a good start with the win in Utah.
Yep.
So, hottest team in hockey? Have anybody else got 5 wins in a row?
It's possible.
Probably up there, though.
I mean, there's been some teams to get off to some hot starts this season. I don't know if anyone's got 5 in a row at this current state.
Yeah.
Some 3 in a row, some 3. No, definitely no more than 3 in a row at this point besides the Lightning.
There you go. Red hot Lightning.
Yep.
Love it. All is right with the world. Bucs in first place in the NFC South. Going to come back and play a big game against the New England Patriots and Mike Vrabel, and very tough team, Drake May.
And then some interesting college football results this weekend. Florida hung with Georgia.
They did. It was kind of upsetting at the end because I felt like they could have had them. I thought they were going to do it. There was a controversial non-catch in that game, which when I looked at the replay, it looked like a reception. But what do I know?
I think the replay showed you whatever they called on the field was going to stand.
Probably.
Had they called it a catch on the field, it probably stood as a catch.
It probably would have remained. Yeah. They played them tough. And sometimes you get that, though, after you fire a coach. They had a bye week, and you'll get a little better effort. I don't know why. It just seems to happen. And sometimes maybe that guy has more answers. I don't know. But they played them. They scared the hell out of them. Really.
I always say in those regards, there's 2 ways that usually goes.
Mm-hmm.
Either the team says they come together and, look, no one believes in us, no one whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just lay it all on the line. Screw it. Let's go. Or everyone's already looking at the transfer portal and looking for other jobs. And,
that's right.
Already, either one of 2 things happens in those situations.
Yeah.
Either you come together, depending on the group of people, or everyone's looking out for themselves, making business decisions.
Yeah.
Already making calls, etc. And not to say that, the Florida players aren't even thinking that at this point or whatever, but, they definitely didn't pack it in.
No, they played them tough. They played them as tough as you could play them. Although I still think when I watch Lagway play, I'm not the best teams in football, whether you're talking about the NFL or college, their quarterbacks are the reason they win or lose. And it's a lot to put on one player. I get it. But there's some plays he just leaves out on the field, man. I'm just not entirely sold that that's the guy you're going to win a national championship with at all. But
I also think, look, he's a sophomore.
He's a sophomore, and he's been injured. He's missed a lot of games, and
does he have the right coaching?
We don't know because they fired their coach, so it's not helping them. That's the thing. You're going to have to start over with a new offensive, a new scheme. You just you make the quarterback's development worse. That's not helping.
And you're assuming he stays. I mean, he may just decide
he may take off. Yeah, absolutely, he might. But I don't know. There's something there that just doesn't quite get it for me with it when I watch him play. But they gave it a good effort, and that would have been one hell of an upset if they'd have pulled that one off. But they certainly were in it until the very end. And there was a bad beat in that game. Georgia could have scored at the end. Oh, man.
Got to be some alumni not real happy with him.
Oh, quarterback did the right thing for his team by going down, and just making sure the game was over and let the clock, run out. But if he runs in the end zone, there's a whole lot of money changing hands. And a lot of those Georgia boosters probably had that score. So
I'm sure tonight on Bad Beats with SVP, we'll see that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Worst bad beat in a while for sure.
Yep.
So
and how about Miami?
Yeah, Mario Cristobal. I've seen enough. Can I just tell you, Oregon didn't get it done. Goes to Miami. Arguably maybe one of the top 2-3 teams in the nation anyway, from a talent standpoint, the way they were playing. You just can't lose the way he loses games, and there's a disconnect there somewhere. It's not the talent. I assure you, they have plenty of talent. Hell, they had the number 1 pick in the draft last year at quarterback, but He just doesn't win the games he's supposed to win.
Is he essentially James Franklin?
Yes, he's kind of the James Franklin, maybe even more so, maybe worse than Franklin. At least Franklin, you could count on 10-2 every year, Cristobal just even in his own conference, he's not very good. It's not just the nationally ranked teams. Hell, he loses to teams that aren't nationally ranked. At least Franklin just couldn't be anybody of consequence. But this guy seems to underachieve no matter who they play. It's just the collapse is going to happen. It's when, not if. So he's going to be moving on too, because that team at one point ranked second in the country is just not playing the way they should. Although I guess you could say Florida State had a nice bounce back from where they were.
They finally won an ACC game in
how long? They beat the hell out of Wake Forest, who isn't very good, but nonetheless, that's what you do to Wake Forest. So big game for Norvell. College football's got a lot of coaching. I think the whole SEC basically needs a head coach. They fired Hugh Freeze at Auburn.
Maryland fired their coach, Loxley.
Yeah.
I think every week you're going to get more and more coaches fired.
So a lot of jobs open. And I think that's because of the change in college football, the paradigm shifting to the players now, and your ability to retain players, and a player's going to go and play for the coach, and you have to win. It's easier to get rid of the coach. Even though these buyouts, I think that's going to be changing soon too. But
yeah, I think the structure of contracts are going to change drastically.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that, but I think that the burden now of winning or losing has shifted so dynamically to the head coach that it's like, yeah, well, we can't win. If we can't win, then we can't attract players, and no one's going to play for this guy. So we got to get rid of the guy. It's become more of a players league.
Look, there's always been a lot of coaching moves at the end of the season, but with the transfer portal opening so quickly,
you can't wait.
Because your players are gone, like you need to start your search now. If you're going to make a change, you need to start your search now. So get rid of your guys so you can do that.
Yeah.
It's basically what's happening.
Yep.
If you wait till the end of the season, one, your coach that you want may be hired somewhere else already, and assistants as well.
That's the thing, the assistants.
It's now a race to who's going to get Lane Kiffin first, or who's going to get Drinkwitz first, or name your coach. If Dan Lanning,
I have to be able to tell him that I have an opening. I got to be able to approach him and say, we want you. I mean, and so, yeah, if you're going to wait to fire your coach at the end, you're not going to be in the Monty Kiffin sweepstakes.
Or Lane Kiffin.
Monty. God, may rest his peace. But yeah, Lane, I guess, will have his choice. I mean, he's the number one candidate in my mind especially if he wants to remain in the SEC. LSU obviously would love to have him. Florida.
Oh, man, you talk about a dumpster fire there.
Ooh, yeah.
The governor's calling out people, firing the AD.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad down there. I wouldn't touch LSU with a 10-foot pole. I could see Florida being attractive to him because he raised here and he was a Spurrier fan, and that's why he wears the visor and all that.
Well, you also notice a lot of these coaches are all signed extensions now.
Oh, absolutely.
Signetti's, et cetera, except Lane has not yet.
No, he is not, but he's gotten all those guys signed into extensions because he's out there. And I bet you, I'm starting to get a feel, though, because he's a changed man. I don't know if you watched any of that Netflix series, but it's really interesting. And his tweets and everything, it would not, let's just say this, any other situation, he's been to all these places, the Raiders, Tennessee, LSU, coached at Alabama with Nick. Any other time I would have told you he's leaving. He's Ole Miss is not going to be enough for him. He's moving on. He's kind of a Zen Lane Kiffin now. Like I don't know that he's chasing anything except his own happiness, right? And that might just be where he's at. He might be just fine with Ole Miss. If it seems strange, but it might be true.
Granted, you never know how much of it's real, but I agree with you. I think he's content there, and if he stayed there and finished his career there, I think he'd be happy.
Yeah.
So you've got to make it really worth his while to leave that.
Well, but
I think earlier in his career he definitely was chasing things.
I don't know that he's going to get 12 or 14 million at Ole Miss, but they'll have to pay him.
I'm not saying it's all money. I'm not saying everything's money either. Like
I think he realizes it's not all money.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're going to get him to go to LSU or Florida or Auburn or wherever, Like, what else is it about? Whether it's from staffing to facilities to whatever it is.
I don't know. I don't know what he wants.
I don't either. I'm just saying that, you're going to have to basically anything he dreams that he wants, you're going to have to figure out how to make happen. And I don't think it's all just financial. Now, most of it's going to cost money to get done, but
they're all willing to do it. So what choices are you making? What is going to be that thing that gets him out of Oxford and says, I want LSU over Florida? Or
do you like the president? Do you like the athletic director? Do you like the, it's also going to be part of it.
Maybe that might be a big part of it, or what was his lifelong ambitions? Like if there's some pull to the University of Florida or he sees himself as Spurrier, if that's just been an attractive place to him or not. Or maybe he's just in a place personally where he's like, you know what? Doesn't his daughter go to Ole Miss?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. I mean, in that Netflix series, when he talks about being close to his family.
She's dating a linebacker at LSU, though, I thought.
She is. It's true. But, I don't know. We're at different points in our lives. We think differently about things and what our priorities are. So at this point, it wouldn't shock me if he stayed right where he's at. Although I've been to Oxford, and for the life of me, I don't know why you'd want to stay there. Nothing against people. If you're from Oxford and you listen to this podcast, I'm sorry. It just feels like it's 1964.
Well, maybe that's what he's looking for. I mean,
and maybe given the way America is today, maybe that's exactly what you need. You know what I mean?
The way he
kinder, gentler time.
Fired on the tarmac in L.A. and
right.
He went through. But what? This is kind of nice.
He's kind of at home, and everybody respects him, and he's kind of a champion there, and they have a certain amount of appreciation that maybe he didn't get at any other place. So I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, it'd be interesting to see. Lots of sports this week. Again, the Bucs going back to work today, kind of a glorified walkthrough, if you will. Won't have an injury report till Wednesday, but we might be able to find out a few things. But man, what a weekend. What a weekend. We might have, did I hear we're going to have a certain, Tom Jones join us this week sometime?
He said last week he would join us this week.
Is that a rumor?
We have not confirmed that, but
okay. Well, we need to confirm it, because I've been spring loaded for negativity lately, and I need somebody that's even more negative than me by contrast. So hopefully we can get Tommy to join us, but, we will be here as we always are each and every Monday through Friday. Glad you guys can join us. Get your email questions in anytime you want to. We had a couple good mailbags. I got questions actually left over from that we might do this week. You can do that. Send them to us on Twitter or X at SportsDayTB. You can reach me there at NFL Stroud, and my email address is rstroud@tampabay.com. Get on down to Breitling Boutique, folks. I can't tell you, you have to go in this store. If you've ever wanted a great timepiece, is where you're going to go. Second floor, International Plaza Mall. Go there, ask for the customer service will be terrific for you. Spend some time in this store. I'm telling you, they're going to give you a drink. They're going to tell you about the beautiful men's watches, the Chronomats, the Navitimers, the women's watches, sports watches, as well as the NFL 32 team watches while supplies last. Get there now before they're all gone. It is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. Make sure you let them know you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Thanks for listening, as always. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.